At the end of the day, it's literally just water and oils. A 400 rupee bottle, a 200 rupee cap, but somehow this becomes a 5,000 rupee luxury product. The fragrance industry is incredibly powerful and India has always been at the historical center of it, supplying raw ingredients to the biggest houses in the world.
We wanted to make Indian culture cool again for our generation by making perfumes inspired from stories and ingredients of India.
I'm Arhum and I'm 21.
I am Madhav and I'm 22.
And we are building a 15 crore perfume brand while still being in college.
But 2 years ago, our office was a hostel bed and our manufacturing plant was us filling bottles by hand till 4 a.m. But to tell you how we got here, we'll have to take you through our kind of broken system that somehow got us here. A system that took us from 0 to over 15 crores.
Which isn't how much you make, by the way, it's just paper valuation. भाई अगर 10 या 15 करोड़ कमा रहे होते तो ये वीडियो थोड़ी बनानी पड़ती आज.
We aren't just telling you our story. We are going to give you the entire roadmap. The 4 stages that we recommend you follow if you want to build a D2C brand in 2026. Which we wish we had when we started, right? On paper, we were an unlikely pair and Khet was never supposed to work. Me coming from Canada, having dropped out of engineering and then also filmmaking program, while Arhum being an ambitious kid just out of 12th grade. But what's cool is that we bonded over our shared spiritual roots and a common vision, which was to make Indian culture cool again. And that leads me to the first step, and if you're writing this down, write this in bold. Do not fall in love with your product. No, I mean love your product, but a lot of people, what they do is they spend 6 months building the perfect product before even selling a single unit. And how do we know that? Because we made exact same mistakes with our older startup that didn't make it on YouTube. So this time with Khet, we didn't make the same mistakes and we found a vendor who already had perfumes. We took their stock photos, ran basic ads and called it Apan. We didn't know how to run ads, we didn't know how shipping worked, and we didn't even know what EDT or EDP meant. But we clocked 1.6 lakh rupees of sales in a single day with this basic thing. But how and why? Because stage 1 isn't about product, it's about proof. And I also like to call it the taste the industry phase. Because we use someone else's product to prove that people actually wanted to buy perfumes from us. So step 1 on our blueprint isn't manufacturing. It is market validation and having a clear vision.
So we suggest not to spend a lot of money on manufacturing unless तुम अंबानी के बेटे हो, but instead spend money on marketing and validating the demand. Because we learned this the hard way and don't want you to do the same. But honestly, you'll probably still end up doing it anyway. And once we knew the demand was real, we moved to step 2. And this is where we almost lost everything. We took all our savings, launched Khet, but it didn't look like this. Oh my god, it looked like this. And you know what the funny part was? We were using Indian ingredients like jasmine, rose, khas, and we named our perfume Summer of 69 the night we met, just the two of us. And only through us actually selling hundreds of these bottles at stalls, we realized there is such a mismatch in what our brand even stood for. Because in India, everyone thinks the West is cool and all, and we ourselves gave into the same. It felt like we legit forgot why we even started this. But before we get into how we changed our whole brand from Khet to Khet, the funny thing is that with even this, we sold over 38 lakhs, which sounds great, right?
But we were miserable. We knew if another brand came in and put a stall right next to us, we would be cooked. Because we were selling nostalgia, which was not a big differentiator, and we were so confused for 2 whole months. So we decided to take a trip around India, wherein we could actually understand our roots, and that's when we realized it's time to own our story and represent the Indian culture we stand for. We had 5 lakhs left in the bank, and we could have just taken it home, bought a new iPhone, but instead, we burnt it all on a rebrand. We hired a designer for 1 lakh. We sat with him in a room for weeks. We stopped copying the West and looked at India.
And this brings us to step 3, which I think is the strongest tactical advice on how to get a luxury packaging without high MOQs. And for that, you need to be obsessed with the smallest details, because a story is nothing if the product is trash. Like, look at this cap. That click sound that you heard is the sound of obsession. No one in India made magnetic wooden caps, and manufacturers laughed at us. They said, you guys are kids. And that's where the beauty of being young comes in. See, when you're 20, you can use your age and walk into rooms being curious. Because big vendors love teaching these passionate kids with that entrepreneurial energy.
And of course, some free ka gyan. But even with that, we couldn't source the cap. So I went on Alibaba, found a Chinese factory who specialized with magnetic caps and asked them nicely to ship over just the magnetic mechanism to us. And because they saw how young, enthusiastic we were, they actually agreed. Then we went to a village called Sambhal, found actual Indian artisans, sat with them in their workshop for hours and said, could you please fit this magnet inside this wooden cap? And that is how we went from this to this. Because the reality is, if we went to a factory and asked for a custom magnetic wooden cap, they would say,
minimum order 10,000 units.
And we couldn't afford that. I wonder why. So we used component decoupling, and what I mean by that is we realized a product is literally just 5 parts put together. We bought the magnet from China, we bought the wood from a local artisan in Sambhal, and bought the glass from Firozabad. And just like that, we became the assembly line. By buying the parts separately, the minimum order quantities were not in the picture. And that meant we could make 50 bottles or even 5,000. So don't outsource your assembly, outsource the components. And just like that, we got the stock one day before the launch, and this time it was unique, which meant we weren't scared of some random perfume brand setting up shop right next to us. So honestly, I think if you aren't obsessed with the little things like we were, like the click in this cap, you aren't building a brand, because this click is why people pay premium prices. And that finally brings us to
stage 4, which is my favorite part and also the reason I believe we went from this to this. And this is how you go from a hobby to a 15 crore. Acha, sorry. So we have the market, the story and the product. Now how do you get to 50 lakhs? You starve.
भाई क्या बोल रहा है तू यार?
Literally, we have generated 50 lakhs plus in revenue. How much salary do you think we take? 10k, 20k, 30k? No. We take 0. एक बात समझो. Let's say this box represents every rupee we have earned. We take 0 salary and we invest everything into better shoots, better product, better team, and we basically survive on pocket money and petrol money. And yes, people do think we are crazy for taking 0 salary, even our parents. But here is the math. Our customer acquisition cost, which is the money we have spent on ads to get one customer, is roughly 300, 400. If I take a 20,000 salary this month to buy shoes, I'm not just spending 20k. I am effectively killing 50 new customers. And those 50 customers would have told 50 friends. So that 20k costs 2 lakh rupees to the business in future growth. So bhai, if you want to scale in college, you cannot treat your business like an ATM. You literally have to treat it like a baby. You feed it everything you have.
And that sums up our roadmap. But this board makes it look linear, like step 1, step 2, step 3. But the truth is, most days we are terrified. There are days when shipments get delayed, when cash flow is tight, and we question if we're crazy for doing this instead of a safe job.
We aren't gurus. We're just 21, 22-year-olds. We haven't made it yet. We are still in the middle of step 4. But that is why we have made this video. Because when we were sitting in that hostel room staring at syringes and broken bottles, we felt alone. We thought everyone else had it figured out. And trust me, they don't. No one has it figured out. Not even Raj Chamani, I guess. So you don't need to be a genius. You don't need a rich dad. You just need to be the person who refuses to stop building. We didn't have this roadmap. We stumbled in the dark. But now you have it. So you have 2 choices. Close this video, go back to scrolling, or take step 1 today.